Falco is one of the most popular characters in the Super Smash Bros. Series. He's one of those characters that I feel is far more known for being in Smash compared to the series he actually originates from. He's also gone through quite a bit of changes throughout the series that has altered the way he plays as well as his viability competitively. As someone who started their competitive Smash career with Falco and has played him in every iteration, it is my pleasure to give you a rundown of his competitive history and explain how his changes throughout the Smash games have affected him both positively and negatively. Quick reminder to like the video for the YouTube algorithm, and with that, let's get started talking about Melee. By the way, for Melee, I'm only going to be talking about NTSC Falco. Falco's debut to the Super Smash Bros. Series would be Super Smash Bros. Melee, being a clone character of Fox. Falco and Fox's moveset would be nearly identical with noticeable differences on how some of their moves would work as well as their stats. Fox is much faster on the ground and Falco has a significantly higher jump. Fun fact, Falco actually falls faster than Fox in Melee, and this is the only official game where he holds that title so far. Two of Falco's special moves would be basically the same as how Fox's worked in Smash 64, those being Laser and Firebird. In 64, Fox's lasers would stun the opponent, which is amazing and is the best projectile in the entire game. This would be the same for Melee. Falco's lasers are easily the best projectile in the game and give him incredible zoning capabilities. If you jump, shoot a laser, and then land, you can cancel the end lag animation and you'll have the same amount of lag as if you jumped and did nothing. This is called auto-canceling. What Falco players typically do is short hop laser and then fast fall in order to land as soon as possible once the laser is out. This helps zone the opponent out, gives them strong approaching options, edge guarding capabilities, and can also be a combo tool. There is a universal option that can help combat laser, which is an exclusive to Melee, that being power shielding, aka perfect shielding. In Melee, when you power shield a projectile, you'll reflect it. Side note, why haven't they brought that mechanic back? I thought it was really cool and gives you more of a reward for perfectly timing shield. Anyways, even with that, laser is still very strong since you can change the timing of your projectile and make it difficult for the opponent to successfully power shield or mix up the opponent with another option. So 64 Fox handed down an amazing attack for Falco, but he also gave him Firebird. It's not a horrible move, but when you compare it to the recovery Fox got in Melee, Falco definitely got the short end of the stick on that one. Falco's Firebird in Melee doesn't have a hitbox on it until the recovery is actually moving. This makes it significantly easier to edgeguard him and makes him susceptible to getting gimped. Despite its shortcomings, it's a solid recovery option with a good amount of mix-ups due to the multiple angles you can go at, and the attack can also be used to close out stocks with niche setups into it. It also helps that Falco has an additional recovery option he can use in combination with Firebird called Falco Phantasm. This move makes Falco travel in a quick burst horizontally and starts up more than twice as fast as his Firebird. The opponent is hit by this off stage, so there's a chance they can get reversaled and lose their stock instead. Another benefit to this attack is that you can cancel the move and change the distance it goes. This is done by pressing the special button again at a certain time. You can also edge cancel the move, which means if you end up at the very edge of a stage or platform, Falco will have no lag. So despite him being very susceptible off stage, he has a good amount of mix-ups to make it hard for the opponent to easily take his stock while he's recovering if he's close enough to the stage. Falco's final special move and the most iconic attack in Melee, Shine, is one of the best moves in the entire game. The attack comes out on frame 1 with Falco also being completely intangible on that frame, and he has the ability to jump out of the attack, which can lead into comboing off of it, pressuring the opponent, and making the move an incredibly strong reversal option. Being a frame 1 attack that you can jump cancel makes it good in just about every situation, and you can also reflect projectiles with it. Falco's Shine is identical to Fox's with a couple of differences. Starting with the least obvious difference, for some reason Fox actually has a bigger hitbox on his Shine. Makes no sense considering Falco's noticeably taller, but whatever. The obvious difference is that Falco's Shine sends the opponent upward, while Fox's sends the opponent horizontally. This difference combined with Falco's higher jump allows him to easily chase the opponent in the air and get a follow-up. The follow-up Falco is known for getting out of the Shine is down air, which spikes the opponent down, and thanks to Falco's fall speed, he's able to land before or around the same time as the opponent and get another follow-up, which can be another Shine. This combo of shining the opponent into down air is called a pillar combo. There's far more follow-ups and combos Falco can get thanks to his mobility and the addition of Melee's wave dash. Falco has the best downer in the entire game. His downer is a spike and not a meteor smash. If you only played Smash 4 or Ultimate, you probably have no idea what that means. To quickly explain it, a meteor smash is an attack that sends the opponent at an angle between 260 and 280 degrees. If an attack does this, then you can use a mechanic called meteor canceling that's used to cancel the hit stun by jumping or up being at the right time. If your attack sends the opponent at a downward angle, but it's not between 260 and 280 degrees, it's considered a spike. Not many characters in Melee have a spike, so the fact that Falco does does is huge. The hitbox on his downer is very generous, covering his entire body except his head. It's also the most active spike in the entire game, being active for 20 whole frames. Downer is probably the most important move in Falco's entire toolkit. The hitbox is pretty disjointed, it can be a solid approaching tool, it's incredible for starting, extending, and ending combos, especially if the opponent's off stage. It's also one of his best moves for edge guarding the opponent. In my opinion, Falco's downer is the glue that holds Falco's entire moveset together and makes it as cohesive as it is. Those are just some of the moves I wanted to highlight, but overall Falco's entire moveset is amazing. He has very strong combo starters, including his grab and up tilt. He also has a lot of ways to close out stocks and combo the opponent. Competitively, Falco is considered to be one of the best characters in Melee. He's top tier on the official Melee community tier list and has been as high as second best in the entire game and as low as fifth. As good as he is, Falco is considered worse than Fox competitively, which isn't really saying much since Fox is the best character in the entire game. I was looking up tier lists and apparently on Melee's first backroom tier list, Falco was actually ranked higher than Fox, which I thought was funny. I think this was back when most players competing didn't consistently wave dash or L cancel. I feel like that's gotta be it since Sheik is number one on that list. If anyone was around competing back then and wants to explain it, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Even with the lack of knowledge everyone had at the start of the game competitively, there would come a player who would put all the pieces together and create a playstyle that is pretty much the backbone of how Falco players use a character to this very day. That player's name is Bombsoldier. His performance at Jack Garden Tournament all the way back in 2005 would put a lot of eyes on him and show just what Falco is capable of. His most notable set at the event was against Ken, aka the King of Smash, and someone I had the pleasure of teaming with a lot when I competed in Melee. Bombsoldier would get second place at the event behind Ken. Despite him not winning, he would end up being one of the most influential players in Melee in my opinion. This is solely because of how impactful his playstyle is and how much of what he did is still used by Falco players competitively to this day. In terms of winning major events with the character, Mango is the most notable player, but there's also PPMD and PC Chris. Melee being around competitively for as long as it has, there are many Falco players that have come and helped evolve the character's meta, and there will be many more to continue and do so. Brawl would separate Falco a bit from having a clone moveset to Fox and make him more of a unique character. His jab, neutral air, up tilt, forward smash, and forward air would have a completely different animation, making him use more of his bird-like qualities. His up air now only hits once instead of twice, and his back air would remain the same, and Fox's animation would actually be changed. Instead of his reflector completely surrounding his entire body, he would instead kick in front of him. His reflector would get massively nerfed as it no longer had the versatility it did in Melee. It's more so focused around reflecting projectiles now, which it can do really well since it's able to reflect throughout the entire animation. It could still be used offensively, but for very niche situations. His lasers are now blue instead of red, making there a clear difference between Fox's and Falco's visually. Even though Falco went through a lot of changes, he still managed to maintain his top tier status in his transition from Melee to Brawl. In fact, Falco would actually be better than Fox competitively. This version of Falco, in my opinion, plays the most like a zoner compared to his other counterparts. Though Falco's lasers is not the best projectile in the game like it is in Melee, it's still really good. The only reason it's not the best projectile, by the way, is that new characters introduced in Brawl such as Diddy Kong and Snake just have better projectiles. He can still auto cancel his laser when shooting in the air, and in fact he can now shoot 2 lasers from one short hop instead of 1. If he does shoot 2 lasers from one short hop, he's able to hit the opponent being airborne or grounded. They removed his ability to fast fall while shooting lasers, so his movement while zoning was nerfed in that regard, but he can still effectively approach and keep out the opponent with lasers. Reflecting projectiles from power shooting was also removed, so characters no longer have a universal option to combat projectiles. Short hop laser can true combo to a lot of attacks including grab and up smash, which is his most reliable option for taking stocks. If done perfectly, Falco can even land a grab if the opponent shields an unstealed laser. Being able to land a grab is incredibly beneficial to Falco. His down throw can combo into another grab, allowing him to down throw the opponent multiple times and finishing it off with just about any attack he wants. The best attack to end the combo normally being a down air. Another way Falco can get grabs is by using jab. Falco can do jab 1-2 and it can potentially lead into a grab or another jab 1-2 depending on the character he's fighting. He also has an advanced technique called boost pivot grabbing, which allows Falco to get to the other side of the opponent and change the direction of where he grabs them in order to maximize the amount of damage he does. Falco's downer in Brawl is no longer a spike, which means the opponent is able to meteor cancel the attack. So if Falco does his down throw combo and finishes it by downering the opponent off stage, they would be able to meteor cancel and survive the combo. If they mistime their meteor cancel though, there's a good chance they'll lose their stock. Another alternative to avoid losing your stock to this combo is to smash the ice so that they don't fall off stage. Even if you don't get downered off stage, Falco's still able to tech chase you and get an additional follow-up. So depending on the character and how many down throws he can combo together, he has the potential to put the opponent at a percent where he can take their stock with up smash off of one combo. Another change to Falco's down air is that the later hitbox on the attack sends the opponent horizontally. So in order to send the opponent downward, you need to make sure you hit them with the early part of the attack. Regardless, it's still one of his best attacks that's great for combos and taking stocks off stage. Falco's Phantasm would get some massive buffs, and in my opinion, it's the best the move has ever been. For starters, the length of the move would be the exact same as Fox's for some reason, even though they kept his Firebird distance short and in fact nerfed it, which I'll get to later. When Falco starts moving, there's no hurtbox on roughly the first quarter of the move, meaning you can space it so that the opponent can't hit you once the hitbox is out. When doing the aerial version of the move, Falco has noticeably less end lag than he did in Melee. This allows Falco to get follow-ups more consistently off of hitting the Phantasm, as well as making it much more difficult to punish. Falco can jump, and the first frame he goes airborne cancels momentum and Phantasm incredibly low to the ground. This technique is called Instant Aerial Phantasm, or IAP for short. This combined with laser, the threat of getting grabbed, as well as his other poking tools, made Falco very strong and neutral. There's one more buff Phantasm got, and it's that they improved the ability to cancel it. Just like in Melee, you can shorten his Phantasm, but unlike Melee, whenever you cancel the move, Falco keeps his momentum and continues to move forward. If you cancel Phantasm at the right time, you can actually make him travel further than he would if he didn't cancel the move, making his horizontal recovery significantly better. His vertical recovery, however, became significantly worse, and in fact, this is the worst it's ever been. Despite his Firebird now getting a hitbox while he remains stationary, just about everything else about the move is worse. Once the Firebird ends, Falco's air drift is absolutely horrendous. It's to the point that if Falco is off stage and does Firebird straight up to recover, if the opponent is grabbing the ledge, Falco will probably be unable to drift on stage and just fall to his doom. For some reason, if you reverse Firebird and go straight up, he's more likely to land on stage. The move also has much more end lag when he lands, so it's a much easier option to punish if he does recover on stage. His Firebird could no longer be used to close out stocks either, so it's exclusively a recovery option that's worse than it was previously. A new mechanic introduced to Brawl would add more issues to Falco's recovery problems. In Brawl, if certain characters use the recovery moves and it gets interrupted before they land, this includes grabbing the ledge, they will experience more lag than normal the next time they land. This is called recovery carryover lag, or RCO lag for short. Falco experienced this with both his Firebird and Phantasm, so he had to be very mindful about his next time landing. In fact, for some reason, Falco would experience RCO lag on Phantasm if he does a grounded version, even if the animation completely finishes. This also meant that if he used Phantasm offensively and was hit out of it, the opponent could get a much harder punish than usual. There are ways to work around RCO lag to make it not as bad, like landing with an aerial or just landing with another Phantasm. But still, this made Falco's recovery worse and just made Phantasm riskier than it would be otherwise. There's an advanced technique in Brawl called Dash Attack Cancelled Up Smash, or DACus for short, that further strengthened Falco's combo and punish game. If you hit the opponent with a dash attack, within the first few frames of the move, you can cancel the dash attack animation and combo it into an up smash. This is a very damaging combo, especially when combined with his down throw combos. Another form of DACus is canceling the dash attack without hitting the opponent, and from the momentum of the dash attack, you get a far sliding up smash. This technique allows Falco to combo out of his laser from mid-range at high percents and even close out stocks from that distance. He can also combo into up smash out of down throw using DACus and take stocks that way. There's another form of DACus called beat DACus, which stands for buffered DACus, and is literally the same technique, except to use Brawl's large buffer window to get a frame perfect input of the technique, which guarantees you go the furthest distance every time. Brawl, being the defensive game that it is, gave some characters really good dodge frame data, and Falco was one of the lucky ones. Frame data wise, he's tied for having the best spot dodge in the entire game. His spot dodge was so good that if he spammed it, you'd only have a 3 frame window to punish him. That is not a lot. He had a really good roll too. Frame data wise, it's not the best, but it went an above average distance, making it difficult for some characters to get there in time to actually punish him. So Falco in Brawl has a strong keep away game, and even if you get close to him, he has really good frame data offensively and defensively, plus a really high damaging throw combo that he can combo into, and he has a great option to distance himself from the opponent that can be comboed out of.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
We can't talk about Brawl and not mention Meta Knight. Falco is actually one of the best characters against him. This is due to him having a good answer to Tornado with his laser and up smash, as well as being able to rack up a lot of damage with his down throw chain grab. Thanks to his strong neutral game and damage output, he can keep up with Meta Knight really well on stage. It's Brawl Meta Knight, so even if you do well against him, you probably still lose, and Falco is no exception. The biggest issue was off stage, where Meta Knight can easily edgeguard Falco, and Meta Knight being able to abuse planking when he's off stage, with Falco not having a good answer to it that that isn't putting him in a massive risk to lose his stock. Even though Falco is considered top tier and has a good matchup against Meta Knight, there are two characters that are considered horrible matchups for him. Those two characters are Pikachu and Ice Climbers. Ice Climbers are the second best character in the game behind Meta Knight due to their infinite grab combo they can perform on anyone. The problem with Falco against him is that he doesn't have any good answers to separate the climbers, and using IIP is a massive risk, which can easily guarantee a grab combo for Ice Climbers. Fighting Pikachu is similar to Ice Climbers. He has a grab combo that, if done properly, can take stocks at 0% on certain characters, and Falco just so happens to be one of them. So a lot of people thought that even though Falco is an amazing character, solo maining him and winning a super major event probably wouldn't happen because of his bad matchups.
Real, man. Real.
And then the best Falco player in Brawl, Does Everyone Hate Falco, aka Def, did what many thought would never happen. He won Apex 2010, a super major tournament. If you didn't know, that player is me. Quick story regarding that event, I was actually going to quit after that tournament, and then I ended up winning. For those wondering, my reasoning for wanting to quit is I feel like I should put my focus on other things, since traveling and competing took up a lot of time that could be used elsewhere. After that event, I gave Rain, who was the best Falco player in Japan at the time, the controller I used to win the tournament. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to play anymore, so might as well give it to another respectable Falco player. So I walk away, and moments later, I run into him again, and he gives me a brand new Club Nintendo Mario controller, still in its packaging, unopened. I took that as a sign that, you know what, maybe I should keep competing, and the rest is history. It's funny because if it wasn't for Rain doing that, I actually would have stopped going to events. So shoutouts to him for keeping me in the community. Also, shoutouts to the other Brawl Falco players. I haven't forgot about you guys, and I miss seeing some of you at events, or just talking to you guys about random Falco things. Smash 4 Falco is by far the worst version of the character competitively. He lost just about everything that made him good in Brawl. His lasers ended up being one of the biggest nerfs he got. It no longer auto cancels, they have more end lag, don't travel nearly as far as it did before, and the projectile moves slower. So basically, one of his most important tools in neutral is significantly worse and not nearly as usable as it was before. It's been changed to an option that's mainly used off stage to help with edge guarding. It can be used for zoning purposes, but it's nowhere near as good anymore. His dash attack being nerfed further weakened his neutral game. It has twice the amount of startup, and the removal of Dacus took away a lot of options he had to rack up damage and close out stocks. Another move that got nerfed massively was his down air. It has nearly twice the amount of startup, significantly more end lag, can't be auto cancelled from a short hop anymore, has a much smaller hitbox, and is a lot weaker. The one major improvement down air got is that meteor cancelling got removed, making it more effective at edge guarding when it actually does spike. His jab 1-2 is worse, having more end lag and making it harder to get follow-ups except for his rapid jabs, which now has a finishing hit. His grab is 2 frames slower than it was before, and he lost his ability to down throw chain grab the opponent due to Smash 4 removing chain grabbing altogether. Reflector no longer reflects throughout the entirety of the animation, making it a much worse anti-projectile zoning tool due to there being a large window on when projectiles can hit him now. His Phantasm would also get a lot of nerfs. The move has more startup, he has a hurtbox throughout the entire animation now, it doesn't travel nearly as far as it did in Brawl, the hitbox ends roughly around the 3rd or 4th of the distance Falco travels, and it can no longer be cancelled. It did get one massive buff, and it's that he no longer goes into freefall after using it, allowing him to use Firebird or even double jump after. Despite the nerfs of Phantasm making his horizontal recovery worse, he did get some buffs to his vertical recovery. His Firebird no longer loses momentum like it did previously, and his double jump is significantly higher. That combined with edge hogging being removed made it hard for Falco to get gimped. Falco did get a decent amount of improvements. His forward air would become significantly better, making it a lot more usable than it was in Brawl, and actually becoming one of his best attacks in general. For reference, his forward air was by far his worst move in Brawl and was not very usable. There was no landing hitbox on the attack, and unless you hit with the final hit of the move, it was very negative on hit, meaning the opponent could punish you for hitting them. These changes actually made Falco's ability to go deep off stage to edgeguard the opponent much better than they had been in the previous games. His back air would get a new animation, making it look more like Wolf's did in Brawl. The hitbox became less active, but the attack became a much stronger move for taking stocks and could be auto-cancelled sooner. Up smash also got a new animation, with this one being 2 hits and covering the range of about half a circle. Even though he lost the ability to chain grab the opponent, his down throw was still a very good combo starter, and on top of this, up throw would become a combo throw again like it was in Melee. His up tilt and down tilt would also become good combo tools for him. Down tilt at the same time would also be a solid option for taking stocks at high percent. So basically, Falco would become a character with a more versatile combo game and a better variety of ways to close out stocks. Despite this, the loss of his amazing neutral tools and zoning capabilities hurt him significantly more, especially considering the better characters not only had ways to rack up damage very well and or close out stocks, but they had a great neutral game. Unfortunately for Falco, a lot of what he could do in Brawl was funny enough given to Fox in Smash 4. Fox Illusion doesn't have a hurtbox on the beginning of it when he's moving now, he can combo out of jab 2 with other moves, and and they even made Firefox strong enough to take stocks off the top, similar to how Falco's did in Melee. That combined with Fox already having superior mobility and frame data made him the more obvious choice in competitive play, especially since he and Falco have a lot of similarities in their moveset. Like I said earlier, this is the worst Falco has been competitively. He's so bad that he's widely considered to be a low tier character. Throughout Smash 4, there were patch updates that ended up buffing Falco. Some notable improvements he got was an airspeed buff, which helps with combos and recovering, up air got less startup, forward air got less startup and lag and more knockback, up smash also getting less startup, more range and knockback, neutral air getting a lot of buffs making it easier to combo out of as well as take stocks, and down air hitting grounded opponents at a better angle to make it easier to combo them. There was also an advanced technique discovered that greatly improved Falco's combo game called frame canceling. If you hit the opponent with an attack on the frame before you land, you'll actually have no end lag and will be able to easily get follow-ups that would otherwise be impossible. This ended up becoming crucial for Falco at a top level since it allows him to maximize his punish game and close out stocks where he normally couldn't. Even with the buffs and new discoveries, it was not nearly enough to put him in the same position he's been in previously tier list wise. There were Falco players that performed well with the character and got good wins and results. The most notable one is AC, who is a Meta Knight main but plays Falco as a secondary. Even though this is the worst version of Falco competitively, I think he had a lot more room to be developed. I still think he wouldn't be competitively viable, but I do believe what really hurt the character's development competitively is that most of the top representatives from the previous game, such as myself, moved on to another character, which for most was probably Fox. He definitely felt like a character that was far from being optimized. Finally, we get to Smash Ultimate Falco, and like Smash 4, he's still not as good as he was in Melee or in Brawl, but he is a step up from the previous game. Up tilt has a lot less end lag, and combined with the jump squat change, made the move a significantly better combo tool. They made his grab frame 6 again, like the previous games, and his laser, while not nearly as good as it was in Melee or in Brawl, is a massive improvement to what it was in Smash 4, having less startup and significantly less end lag, allowing him to use it more in neutral, and even making it a better edge guarding tool against the opponent. Falco is now able to auto cancel down air from a short hop again, and it has much less lag, though still not nearly as good as it was in Brawl. One of the biggest nerfs Falco probably got coming from Smash 4 Ultimate is that his back air, which used to be frame 4, now comes out on frame 9, so it has more than twice the amount of startup. Even with that, the move is still good and one of his most reliable ways to take stocks. His biggest nerf is probably to his Phantasm. Now if the opponent shields the attack, the move will come to a complete halt, making it significantly easier for the opponent to punish the move and makes the attack even more of a high risk high reward option. It's also not as good for getting off the ledge for that reason. Up smash also got nerfed since the hitbox starts higher than it did before, making it become more of an anti-airing move and impossible for him to hit short or low profiling characters with it. All of his aerials would get significantly less landing lag, which greatly benefited both neutral air and forward air. Thanks to this, Falco is now able to get drag down combos more consistently with both aerials that can lead into just about anything and can work at any percent. This significantly improves Falco's combo capabilities even further. Once Falco's combos became more optimized, people would call Falco a cutscene character thanks to the long and guaranteed combo strings he can perform. One of the most known combo extensions for Falco being called the active op combo, named after the Falco player active, where you up throw the opponent, short hop, and then immediately double jump into an up air, which puts you into the perfect position to combo into a neutral air drag down onto a platform and do just about anything you want from there. Even with the improvements Falco got, he ended up being considered a mid tier at best. And then patch 8.0 happened. This patch will be a massive one for Falco, giving him some much needed buffs. One of the biggest improvements he got this update is that his Phantasm has a hitbox at the end of the attack again, making it a stronger offensive tool and giving him a bigger combo window on the attack if he's able to hit the opponent with the final part of the hitbox. They also buffed the grounded version of Phantasm, making the move come out on frame 13, which is by far the fastest the attack has ever been, and also reducing the end lag, making it more usable and allowing Falco to rely less on IAP. Another massive buff Falco got this patch update is to his down tilt. They reduced the startup, making it a faster attack, and adjusted the angle the move sends the opponent, which not only made it a much better combo tool, but also gives him a much better option to close out stocks at a high percent. Down air would also get a massive buff, giving it significantly less end lag when finishing the move in the air, and also less landing lag. This makes Falco's down air less risky to use off stage for edge guarding the opponent, and also improves its combo capabilities. Those three buffs are the most important improvements Falco got this patch update, specifically the Phantasm and down tilt. Falco's up smash also got buffs, making it stronger, which allows it to take stocks sooner, and making the first and second hit connect better into each other, even though you can still fall out of it. Neutral air also got improved, making it harder to fall out of it as well. With these improvements, Falco would go from a mid-tier character to now being widely considered a high tier. Depending on who you talk to, some people even believe he's a top tier character after the update.
Do you actually see what's going on? Do you actually see what's happening? I think he's top tier.
Again, he is not better than he previously was in Melee or Brawl, but he's at least competitively viable again. Players such as Tilde, myself, Masa, and others have won some pretty big events with Falco, but unfortunately Falco has yet to have a major tournament win under his belt. There's an argument for Riptide 2022, which was won by Tilde, being a major, but according to the rankings used at the time, it barely missed out on meeting the criteria to be a major. A lot of people still consider it a major, but I just wanted to clarify that and say it's really up to your interpretation on how you feel about it. Regardless, that is the biggest event Falco's ever won in Ultimate, and the character still continues to have solid results and wins at events. So Falco started his life in Smash as a clone character of Fox, being one of the best characters in the entire game competitively. He then gets a lot of changes to his moveset in order to further differentiate himself from Fox, and even with that is still amazing competitively. It's not until he got massive nerfs to the moves that historically were a core part of his playstyle that he began to get worse competitively, and in fact would end up being one of the worst characters. They then try to recorrect the nerfs made and strengthen his moveset again. Though he's not as strong as he's been previously, he's in a good spot competitively, and when the new Smash game comes out, hopefully he continues on his upward climb. And that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it because I definitely love making it and strolling back down memory lane of my all-time favorite Smash character. If you guys like this and want to see more character history videos, I did make one on Meta Knight that is currently up on my channel that I'll have linked in the description. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, subscribe to my channel, and if you would like to support me more as well as see some videos before they come out, you can support me on my Patreon, which I will have linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.